into the beginning of another season across the top of 5 leagues in Europe. Premier League begins this Friday, and of course, other leagues in Europe after years of the summer break, thanks to international competitions that made the summer not too boring for football lovers. But this weekend, Crystal Palace will host Arsenal in the first match of the 2022-23 campaign in the EPL. Of course, these are some of the discussions that we'll be having this evening. This is Sports Live on OSBC TV. Adebode is my name. Welcoming you on board this evening. Of course, we promise it's going to be another exciting show, as we tend to look into or tend to preview the next season in the top of 5 leagues, talking about the English Premier League, the Spanish La Liga, Bundesliga, French League One, and the Italian Serie A. Most of these leagues begin this week, and those that doesn't begin this week begins next week. What would happen between the battle between Manchester City, Erling Haaland in the EPL, and of course Darwin Núñez of Liverpool? Is going to be another battle. Many people have been tipping Arsenal to probably win 1 or 2 titles. Courtesy of the informed Gabriel Jesus. Will it be the turn of Arsenal? Arsenal Lukon, who would discuss these and many more this evening. But I'm not alone in the studios. This evening, I'm joined by an erudite sports journalist, a sports lover, and sports writer as well. Ibrahim Akiokun joins me in the studios this evening. Good evening and welcome aboard. Good to have you on the show this evening.
Yeah, nice to be back. It's very good. The coming season, offers a lot. We go down. It will most likely go down as one of the best seasons. Football has ever witnessed. The fundamentals and dynamics of the game is fast changing. And of course, many teams are not lying low. You ordinarily see promoted teams, making loud statements in the transfer market. So a team like Nottingham Forest, have signed a whopping 12 players so far. And of course, they're one of the most successful teams in England. They've won the UEFA Championship twice. And some other teams have not won it. Top 5 teams, teams like the likes of Arsenal.
You don't want to mention names.
Arsenal, Tottenham, even Manchester City. I'm not one, but Tottenham, Nottingham Forest have won it. Twice in the past. And of course, dramas. This the preseason has not been that of dramas. The Cristiano Ronaldo drama is here. And of course, the Barcelona almost bankrupt. Stage before they were put from the hedge. It's also there. So let's see. It promises to be a very, very good season. Let's see how it unravels at the end of the day.
Well, let's begin with the Community Shield that was decided last weekend. It ended in favor of Liverpool. We were anticipating the battle between Erling Haaland and Darwin Núñez, the most hyped striker in England at the moment. But it ended in favor of Liverpool. But we just hope that Liverpool might be able to maintain this momentum. But it's a new environment, they would have to adapt to the tactics of the new manager and, of course, the environment. Do you think these set of players that have been brought in would be able to help their team in one way or the other this season?
One thing you can't take away from the draw of Liverpool and Manchester City is the team chemistry. They don't get to sign, bogos on players. They don't get to bring in more players into their squad. They know where to reinforce, and they just bring in about 2-3 players. That has been the pattern, of their season. In the recent past, and of course, that has given them, that latitude to maintain very good balance and team chemistry. So the Community Shield, being the curtain raiser for the new season, ended 3-1 in favor of Liverpool. Though it wasn't unexpected totally, but actually the balance of a victory could have tipped either way, either to Manchester City or Liverpool. But Erling Haaland, it would be premature and embryonic to be expecting much from Erling Haaland. In this new season, he is coming from the Bundesliga, and of course, the Bundesliga is a different league entirely to EPL. The EPL is faster, with more intensity. It's more intense than the Bundesliga, but that's not taking anything away from Erling Haaland. Of course, so when many people were thinking, okay, Erling Haaland should be able to pull his weight, in that match against Manchester, against Liverpool. Though he could have scored, he could have ended up scoring, some couple of goals or perhaps gotten a goal, but he didn't at the end of the day. But that's not. it boils down to the fact that the EPL, is not a league that you just coming from another league and think you can just ride short over every other club. And of course, Darwin Núñez is a very good, he's also a very good striker. And of course, I think if you're shaping up the season of Liverpool in the right way, if you be able to nudge Liverpool in the right direction, considering the fact that Sadio Mane has left them, and of course, immediately they got, a replacement. And of course, I think they already presented the departure of Sadio Mane by bringing in someone like Luis Diaz. Luis Diaz and Sadio Mane play in the same position for Liverpool, and of course, they still have very good strikers. Someone like Fabiano is still there to slug it out with Darwin Núñez. So those two teams, those two clubs, Manchester City and Liverpool, are the perennial favourites. But I think this coming season, the apple carts could be upset.
I was about asking that because it was just one point that separated the two teams, talking about Liverpool and Manchester City. But we have a certain Tottenham Hotspur under Antonio Conte who has reinforced that almost in every of the departments on the field, talking about the goalkeeping department, the defense, the forward, the midfield. And yes, we have other clubs as well. Chelsea are doing the needful as far as the transfer market is concerned, although Barcelona hasn't allowed them to pick or to buy some of the players they have deemed it fit would be useful for them at the moment. Arsenal, yes, they've been high-flying, unstoppable as far as the preseason is concerned. And of course, we have Everton as well. Most of them want to compete for a European competition this season, and that makes the league more competitive going into next season. Arsenal to me might be the dark horse for next season, for obvious reasons. They've given a lot of football pundits and their fans alike, reason for optimism. When you look at their preseason so far, they've played on 5 matches and they've won all 5 matches, and they've scored a whopping 18 goals and conceded just 4 goals. In the process. So, this is by every standard a very good, a very good statement of intent. And of course, I think they should be able to scale new heights. This new season, talking about Arsenal, they've reinforced, very well in transfer market. And of course, they are not, I'm betting here. They say he won't talk about someone like Edu, who is in charge of their transfers, and of course, their coach Mikel Arteta. They are saying they still have that room to bring in more players, reinforcing the squad. And of course, it has paid off. It has paid off on the field of play. They've been brushing aside top teams, even Chelsea, Sevilla, and so on and so forth. And of course, when you look at the team, they are beginning to gain their rhythm. And of course, the balance is beginning to, to shaping up in that Arsenal team. So they are trying to ship out. They are trying to ship off dead woods, and of course, retaining players that they think will help shaping their season, that they think will be able to put their weight and give their all for the club. And of course, next season, most of these clubs should watch out for Arsenal. At a point in time, Arsenal had, they had a bad run of forms, over some swath of years. And of course, they are trying to turn that on its head. That was why that was the major selling points of Mikel Arteta in convincing someone like Gabriel Jesus to come down to Arsenal, because he said he spoke extensively with Mikel Arteta, and Mikel Arteta, unraveled and of course played on the table what the project he has, for Arsenal, and of course that appealed in no small measure to Gabriel Jesus, and he was able to be convinced to sign for Arsenal, because someone like Gabriel Jesus, considering the fact that he's accustomed to playing in the UEFA Champions League, especially with Manchester City. Now, over 6 years or 5 years that he spent with Manchester City, now taking a step down, further down, joining an Arsenal team that is not playing in the UEFA Champions League, but will play in the Europa League. I think it takes more than just mouth convincing.
to convince a player of that repute to sign for Arsenal. So Arsenal, they are very, very good. Then talk about Tottenham as well. Tottenham, that's Arsenal's London rivals. They're also very good. They are talking about their coach Antonio Conte. Is a no-nonsense coach. He's a coach with the requisite gravitas to actually make things happen for Tottenham. Tottenham have been an underachieving, team over the years. They've been boxing, below their weight. And of course, I think this season they are trying to shake that off and of course make a statement that okay, they are one of the best teams, you know, in England, if not also in Europe. Because when you talk about the top 6 brackets in England, Tottenham, you know, definitely fall in that pantheon of the top 6 in England. They've signed very good players like Ice Bissouma, you know,
Evan Perisic,
Spencer Perisic, and so on. They've signed so very good players. Tottenham. Then when you look at the usual suspects for the title, I was talking about Liverpool and Manchester City. Though I did make mention of the both, you know, earlier on. They are also very good. They've signed some very exciting players, but they've also seen some departures, especially Manchester City. When you try to like just oppose the draw, especially Manchester City, you know, someone like players like Zinchenko, Zinchenko has left for,
and he hasn't been replaced.
And he hasn't been replaced. So leaving them with Joao Cancelo, and Cancelo is not, you know, a left-footed player, but being shoehorned into playing in the left back position for Manchester City. Then Gabriel Jesus, one of their best strikers. You know, when you look at Gabriel Jesus has been largely unsung. Because when you look at his statistics, he falls in the bracket of the top 6, you know, player that has the best goal per minute, you know, ratio in the EPL over the years.
But it's not been mentioned like that.
It's not been mentioned like that. Just falling behind the likes of Sergio Aguero, Aubameyang, and so on. You know, I know when you talk about the strikers, they are in a class of their own. Yes. But you know, a player, Gabriel Jesus, still, you know, ends that 6th position. So I think most likely he is largely unsung. And of course, let's see how we will be able to, you know, get back, how we will be able to get the accolade he deserves, you know, playing for this Arsenal team as their main striker. Because in Manchester City, he was always played as a second fiddle. He was just most often, you know, on the fringe of the Manchester City team. But I think that also appealed to him. The prospect of him earning the
first team shirt.
Yeah, the first team shirt in Arsenal, you know, appealed to him in signing for Arsenal. Then Liverpool as well. Liverpool, they are very good. They are very compact. You know, we needed to say much about this Liverpool team, because when you talk about perhaps the best team that could push Manchester City, you know, to the wire for the title, is Liverpool. Yeah, it's Liverpool. They are the most successful team in England, and they are the most successful English team in Europe. And of course, you know, they won their first title, you know, in 20 years. You know, some 2 seasons ago. So very good for Liverpool as well.
Let's talk about the possibility of Nottingham Forest, Fulham, and Bournemouth still retaining their status in the EPL this season.
If you ask me, I think Nottingham Forest stand the best chance of the trio of retaining their status in the EPL, you know, at the end of the coming season, because you know, they've signed so very good players. They've made a lot of signings because they know the challenges ahead of them. You know, playing in the headlights division of England is different from playing in the Championship, you know, of English football. And of course, they've been able to match up with the challenges that lie ahead of them by recruiting a whopping 12 players, including our own Taiwo Awoniyi. Taiwo Awoniyi should be able to strike, should be able to spearhead, you know, their attack last season. And of course, we know what Taiwo Awoniyi is made up of, and of course, what it could bring, you know, to the table. Talking about Taiwo Awoniyi, then other departments as well, they've reinforced in other departments that they, in their wisdom, think need reinforcements, and of course, that should stand them in a good stead. That's talking about Nottingham Forest. The Bournemouth have not been making, you know, last statement of intent so far in the transfer market in terms of maybe, you know, geared or notch towards retaining their EPL title, because they've not really signed as much players, you know, when compared to Nottingham Forest and Fulham. Fulham have also signed some very good players as well. So I think the draw, Fulham and Nottingham Forest stand better chance of retaining their status in EPL in the EPL compared to Bournemouth. So if one wants to, but you know, it's one thing for one to pontificate and turn out prognosis about how the season might unravel for most of these clubs. It's another thing for, you know, the season to unravel in the way it's also, or perhaps some providence, what providence could bring, you know, to the fore, you know, into the fore. So we can begin to make, you know, analysis, But another thing is for the season to really, to really gel, because when you look at players, sometimes players, when you sign a lot of players to beef up a club, it takes some time. Those players will have to go through what is called learning curve. Yes. You understand that, a bedding period. So for them to be able to there is little margin for error, in the EPL, especially for new teams that are just coming on board to the EPL.
Even new players, there's no time to adapt.
No time to adapt.
Must get into it.
So someone a club like Nottingham Forest that have signed many players, some of these players might not gel in their first season, and it could rub off negatively, on the ambition of Nottingham Forest to stay on the Premier League. So that's why you see top teams, they don't really beef up their teams with large spectrum of players. You just identify areas that need beefing up, reinforcement, and just bring in one or two players, 2-3 players. A club, clubs in points are Manchester City and Liverpool in this respect. So let's see how the season will pan out.
Well, we'll see how the season pans out in favor of whoever emerges as champion after rounds of 63 matches in the EPL. But still with other leagues across Europe, very quickly because of our time, we will still expect probably Barcelona to pull surprises in the La Liga Santander this season, having reinforced almost in every of the departments on the field of play. And it's going to be probably a fierce battle between Robert Lewandowski and Karim Benzema this season in the La Liga Santander.
Well, Barcelona are a club that one would liken to a cat with 9 lives. At a point, we thought Barcelona was going down due to the debt crisis, financial crisis they found themselves in. But Laporta, their chairman, was able to find a way of re-engineering their financial status and pulling them off the edge. And they've been able to sign very, very good players. That's one thing that speaks volume of the importance and the importance of goodwill. You understand that Barcelona is a club with very, very good or nice goodwill. So definitely, even if a Barcelona club or a Barcelona team is emerged in a debt crisis, if you still appeal to players to come to Barcelona, considering what they've been able to do over the years.
Their credit worthy.
Because their status, their pedigree. Okay, Barcelona is not, they are having problems, signing players, breaking even, not running foul of the financial fair play rule, and of course, overshooting the debt cap, placed for Spanish La Liga teams. But one way or the other, in the midst of those crises, players, they still go to sign players. For example, someone like Frank Kessié of AC Milan joined Barcelona as a free agent. In the midst of that crisis, during that period, trying on hot period of Barcelona, just someone like Andre Christensen as well of
Chelsea.
From Chelsea, still joined Barcelona, during that moment of crisis for Barcelona, and they were able to sign so very, very good players. The latest being Julius Koundé from Sevilla. He actually chose Barcelona. He actually chose Barcelona over Chelsea. That speaks volume. Then Lewandowski actually, virtually forced his way, to Barcelona from Bayern Munich, despite the relationship he had with Bayern Munich over the years. So Barcelona, you just can't write them off. And of course, they had at the point, they had a debt to the tune of 1.2 billion euro. But they've been able to reshuffle and re-engineer, re-engineer their debts. They've been able to rework it, and they sold their TV rights, 25% of their what's called broadcast rights, and of course about 35% of their sponsorship deals as well. And they were able to amass fund to the tune of over 500 million euros. So those players that they were able to sign, but they weren't able to register. They will register them. They are saying that they will register them by next week. Players like even Frank Kessié is here to be registered. Andres Christensen is here to be registered. Then Jules Koundé has just been unveiled, but he hasn't been registered properly. So Then Robert Lewandowski is a very, very good striker. At the age of 33, I think he still packs a punch. That's talking about Robert Lewandowski. So he should be able to challenge, Karim Benzema for the Golden Boots in the Spanish La Liga. So it would break the monopoly of Karim Benzema since when the likes of Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo left the fray. It just gave Karim Benzema that free right, to always have a field day to root the Golden Boot. But Robert Lewandowski coming into the fray, I think is no longer with business as usual for Karim Benzema.
Well, talking about Robert Lewandowski this time around, Bayern Munich would be looking to get another title this season, having defeated their opponent, of course. But it's going to be, it has been looking good for talking about Sadio Mane, who has been seen as replacement for Robert Lewandowski this season. But do you think Sadio Mane can be a proper replacement for him in Bayern Munich?
Well, Bayern Munich, they are not having much. Many strikers at the moment. Robert Lewandowski left, so they are not. They don't really have.
Or they don't really feel the void.
Yeah, they've not really. Filled the void. That's now cascades into the fact that they don't really have. An out proper number 9. In their fold at the moment. The likes of Sadio Mane, was straight-jacketed into playing as number 9 against in the German Cup against RB Leipzig. We know that Sadio Mane though can play in that role, but essentially he's not a centre forward. He's a winger. But at a point in time, towards the twilight of the EPL last season, he played in that position for Liverpool. Yeah, so what's it called? Bayern Munich still have the likes of Joshua Zirkzee and of course Eric Mazin Choupo-Moting that can play as a centre forward for Bayern Munich, but they are not early strikers. Someone like Zirkzee is still very young. Then Choupo-Moting is already sailing into twilight of his career. So they don't really have that light forward in their fold. But even that said, Bayern Munich will always win. The German Bundesliga. They've won it 9 times, on the spin, and of course, they will be gunning for a 10th title on the trot. This coming season. So, Sadio Mane should be able to, pull his weight and do his best for Bayern Munich. But it will start Bayern Munich in a very good stage if they are able to get a proper number 9 at the end of before the transfer window closes. At the point in time, they were flirting with the idea of signing our own Victor Osimhen, but they had to pull the plug on that supposed deal for Victor Osimhen. So, I don't know. I think their coach, as talking about Julian Nagelsmann, should know. I think he knows his onions. He really knows what he wants. Let's see what he's got, up his sleeve.
All right, within 60 seconds now, it's going to be a battle as usual in the Italian Serie A. Jose Mourinho's AS Roma, AC Milan, Inter Milan, and Juventus. It's going to be a battle this season.
Well, I like the fact that AC Milan won the Scudetto. After a long period of hiatus of last winning it. AC Milan, the traditional strong side in Europe, they've won the UEFA Champions League 5 times. And of course, Juventus sometimes they flatter to deceive. Since that that scandal, they were emerged with about maybe 6 or 8 years ago that led them to being demoted to the Serie B. They've not really been able to find their feedback in their domineering best they used to be in the Italian Serie A. But let's see, it will be a very close one. In the Italian Serie A. It's a very close one to call.
The next season. And of course, yes, we need to wrap up this evening. But not without saying that PSG might probably win the league again this season.
That one is almost a given.
It's almost given. All right. Many thanks to everyone that made this production possible this evening. And most especially, thanks for being a part of the show, Ibrahim. Ombotayo Adebodu is my name. Muideen Adeleke is the producer of this program. Until next week, Wednesday again, when we come your way with more sporting information. I say don't stop. Loving sports. Good evening.